with Myles Garret, just on the front end of this, he is the biggest fish that may be available. And I still stress may because I think players like that don't easily get moved, and they typically require multiple firsts. We have to know who we're dealing with. I don't know that Brad is giving up 2 firsts. But, John, at 1-5, Cleveland is maybe the only team in football that can't say next year's going to be better. Everybody else in the NFL will convince themselves we can move on from guys, we can sign guys, we can trade guys. Because Cleveland has the anchor of Deshaun Watson, they will be playing with one hand tied behind their back this season, next season, and the season after that. There's no way that he can move him. And he takes up such a high percentage of their cap that they're the team that can't say, hey, we can turn this around in an offseason. Their timeline is several years removed from competing for a championship.
You mentioned the cap.
So it invites the conversation.
I also don't know what the dead cap hit would be for Cleveland. He may be a guy that they would want to trade, but they can't.
Well, that's why you have to pay.
Right.
Yes, and that's what gets into this. So all along I said if you can get Max Crosby, great. I don't think it's likely. I would love Myles Garret. I don't think it's likely. Maybe slightly more likely now that they've admitted and they've started fire sailing. Maybe Myles Garret would be available. Would I give up 2 firsts? Yes, I would give up 2 firsts. They're likely picks 30, 31, or 32 for the next 2 seasons while you chase the Super Bowl. And I stress, if you're worried about, longevity, how about the longevity of next season having Myles Garret and Aiden Hutchinson? How about that for a Super Bowl window that very much still stays open? That
would be a dream.
Yeah.
Does it remain a dream? Because, you're paying Myles Garret. You're paying Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jared Goff, Penei Sewell, now Aleem McNeil. You're also going to have to pay Aiden Hutchinson.
What you're probably going to do, and I think Brad Holmes is incredibly sharp.
Yeah, they're going to do it.
No. What you're going to pay Aiden. What I'm saying, what Brad would probably do after securing Aiden is maneuver these other deals and shift around and add years and slide money. No, I don't mean there's any hesitation in paying Aiden Hutchinson, but Brad's sharp, and he's already staggered some of these deals. He would have to move bonus money around to try to keep everybody. But, John, in the NFL, you really don't have a 10-year window unless you have Patrick Mahomes. You're really operating in 2- and 3-year segments, and I think Myles Garret fits the 3-year segment that this football team would be chasing a Super Bowl.
He fits the timeline better for the Lions than he does the Browns.
And it's why I would absolutely inquire. I'd absolutely give up the 2 firsts. I don't think they will, and I don't think they have to win the Super Bowl. Clearly, you'd feel better if they did. Myles Garrett's out there, 248-539-9797. Do you think he is actually available, and would you pay the freight to bring in a player like that?
I certainly would. 2 firsts for Myles Garret, absolutely, because what you said, 30, 31, 32, those are the picks.
Yeah.
It's first-round picks, first-round value. You get that 5th-year option, but you're not talking about a top 5 or top 10 pick. And here's the other thing. When you pay, like the Lions have, young stars, you have the benefit from the franchise of knowing that you can extend them with voidable years, with other years,
tools,
and you can move money around, and you know that because they are young, they're not going to age out by the time for what you're doing with their contracts. From a player's perspective, it's always whenever they come to you and say we would like to restructure your deal, unless you're an old player that they're asking for money back. The answer is always yes. Please restructure my deal because it will include more guaranteed money. It will probably include more money. It's always a benefit to the player as a young player, especially if you're in a big contract, for them to come to you and say, we'd be interested in restructuring your deal because we want to sign this other guy. Yes, please give me more money.
So for a guy like Sewell, who you think is at the start of a very, very long career.
Yes.
St. Brown is at the start of a very long and productive. These guys, you could go and say, let's smooth the money over an extra year and free up a little more wiggle room. I'm not worried about the cap when it comes to trading for a player like Myles Garret. I think the cost would be scary. We heard Dan Campbell yesterday say you got to give up the farm to get certain guys. It feels like they're the type of team that should be considering giving up the farm to win a Super Bowl. I mean, they are in the elite group of teams in the NFL, especially if they had a Myles Garret to replace Aiden Hutchinson.
But here's the thing about Myles Garret. I think 2 firsts and maybe some other late-round picks would get it done. If you're talking about Max Crosby, you're probably talking 3 firsts.
Younger player.
Which is, I think, as far out as you can go in terms of trading draft picks. There are rules regarding how many drafts you can go down the road of trading your picks. But that's to me, that's selling the farm.
Some ticket text coming in and says the question is not whether or not we should get Myles Garret or these other guys. It's whether the GM likes these guys and think they are a fit. Well, Myles Garret fits on anybody's team that's trying to win a Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's a question.
The number one pass rusher to this point of the season is Aiden Hutchinson.
Number 2?
Myles Garret.
Right. So literally the guy most equipped to replace Aiden's production so far this season is Myles Garret, who always flirts with the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. Texter says, didn't Valenti say this on Monday? Yeah, I think he did bring up Myles Garret on Monday. He also, where we differ is he feels like if you don't add Myles, you can't win the Super Bowl.
Right.
We all want Myles Garret. We could take a straw poll of Detroit. Do you think Myles Garrett's a good football player? 100% of people would say yes.
Yes.
You want to add him. The question is, do you guys think Brad Holmes will pay the freight, or are they going to go more of a role player complementary piece?